As part of our how-to series, I now bring to your attention how to observe doubt effectively. We'll look at how doubt can hide even after you have identified it as doubt, by convincing you that even though you are calling it doubt, it's still true. We'll consider how this isn't really identifying doubt correctly, but mimicking the act, leaving you vulnerable to its clutches. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally. In addition, you can join my weekly group membership meetings, reserve your place in one of my seminars, or purchase any of my mind-body guides, also known as the PDFs, at www.crushingdoubt.org. Now, without further ado, we turn our attention to how to observe doubt fully. In the Crushing Doubt community, I have seen great successes happen in reducing seemingly chronic symptoms when doubts are recognized. This means that the 3 doubt column actions are all required: observe, articulate, and counter. But, as we know from my troubleshooting mind-body guide, there are still some things that can stand in the way, even when this process is factored in. Often, when doubts aren't getting conquered, people are rushing to try to counter a doubt that either hasn't been articulated or remains undiscovered. And then there is another roadblock that is very, very sneaky, to say the least. I hear this time and again. I see my doubt, but it's not solving the problem. Mind-body symptoms are at base a psychological defense in action, in which the mind chooses a way around seeing consciously our full experience. In other words, a part of our experience is left to the unconscious, and we are not fully aware of what is going on. The solution to a psychological defense is to observe the defense in action in a way that the person who has enacted the defense can see. When people claim to see doubts, but find it is not working, one place to look for the defense is to see if they are indeed seeing the doubt. Just because you think you are seeing it doesn't mean that you do. This can happen in the form of seeing the doubt only generally, but not specifically enough. Or it can take the form of thinking of doubt in a way that is not accurate to the real doubt you have. But amazingly, it can also pull off quite a magic trick. It can make it so that you aren't seeing the doubt even when you have identified it and are staring directly at it. This brings up a very important idea in the concept of doubt that is good to keep in mind. The problem with doubt is that people sometimes don't think it is doubt, even when they themselves have labeled it that way. As with anything, you can't really believe something if you just don't. We can say all kinds of things to ourselves, but they won't have any effect if we don't believe it. This is essentially what is happening when people say, "Yes, I see my doubt," but in reality, despite seeing the doubt, they believe that it isn't doubt, but true. To correctly observe a doubt, you not only need to see it, but you need to see it for what it is, a lie to the self. It is very important that we do not let doubt hide even in the excellent labels we have chosen for its destruction, because this is exactly what it tries to do to so many people. It does this in particular for people who are very good at following rules. Doubt is, you see, very crafty. It knows you. It knows how it can fool you in particular. That is why we need to know all of its methods. This is a method that has proven to be very effective in keeping people from getting better, because they can always fall back on the idea that they are doing exactly what I am saying to do, and it isn't working. I do not mean this is bad news, or as if it is anyone's fault when this happens. No. In fact, I think it is good news when there is a reason that you are being held back, particularly if it's an easy fix. Simply by knowing this doubt trick, you can see that when you see doubt, but still think it is true, you aren't really seeing it as doubt. You're seeing the concept of the thought, but you're seeing what you think is just an unfortunate truth. In so doing, you're taking your doubts seriously, which is what gives them the power to function. Doubts are ultimately to be dismissed because they are doubts, not reality. But the part of you that does not want the doubts to be identified is bound to try to stay in a sort of cloaking device where it can't even be seen when it is seen. Now, this could happen because you just haven't been helped enough to see it, or an environmental trigger or words from an authority have gotten you turned around, or because doubt is being brought in to protect you from the sometimes scary nature of power. These are the kinds of reasons that people hire me to identify doubt, but then argue with me when I expose certain doubts. This is, if you think about it, kind of a strange concept. Would you do this with an auto mechanic? Would you do this with a doctor or a dentist, except in extreme circumstances, which the mind-body problem is now currently under? Think about which professions with whom you'd argue. It's okay to question any profession, but if you're going to give something a chance, you have to trust someone, and it should be someone who can at least make sense of what you're doing. This is what I do with doubt, and this is why I'm bringing up this concept. One of doubt's last-ditch efforts to keep hidden is to let you see it, but to believe it is nonetheless still true. The best thing you can do in this case is to trust your most trusted sources when they tell you you are, in fact, having doubt. If you won't trust me, I suggest you trust your body. If you're still having a seemingly chronic symptom, then you have doubt. It is definitional. I mean this is a good thing, but just because you think you are observing it is no excuse. Doubt is perfectly capable of being seen directly without actually being observed, because it can just pretend that what you are seeing is simply truth and not doubt, whatever label you put on it. Make sure you see doubt fully, not just as an intellectual thought, but as a self-deception. So, if you see a doubt but still think it really, really might be true, you aren't observing it yet. You can use what I've told you here to consider that, and you'll have gotten off of an initial snag that can allow you to then move on to a more full articulation of the doubt and an excellent chance to counter it. I really hope you enjoyed this episode on how doubt hides in plain sight by convincing you it isn't doubt, it's actually true. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.